All right.
Welcome, guardians, monoids, and invisible divine ascended beings. Wait, are we sure this isn't a Star Trek episode? This is episode 301 of Unearthly Podcast, streaming live on the 17th of April, 2019, and featuring The Ark, written by Paul Erickson and Leslie Scott, and starring William Hartnell as the Doctor, Peter Purvis as Stephen Taylor, and Jackie Lane as Dodo Chaplet. This is also the first episode of our 12th season, and featuring our new feature for this season, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And this is the beginning of the good section, which shall be for the next few weeks.
Yay!
I am Randy Ronson McCulloch, your host, and with me is our technical director, Mad Matt Winchell.
Who's his fifth day on tab?
Also on the panel tonight is Thomas Fireheart.
Thankfully, I was able to get footage for this.
And Tim the Enchanter Sheridan.
Hey, I bet!
Bill Sylvia, the man in black, may be with us tonight and may not be. We're not sure. If so, he is going to be a bit late.
Right now, he is Schrodinger's.
He's Schrodinger's Bill.
He is both alive and dead.
He's always been dead inside.
Please do not talk to me about Warrant Officer Schrödinger. Can't do that German voice. I cannot do that German voice. I tried. I failed. I'm done.
Very
I've
illustrative,
been
but
having
stupid.
a horrible problem doing accents tonight.
Happens to all of us.
I was trying to do a French accent earlier today, and it kept coming out Irish. I'm like, this has never happened. The thing is, I was trying to say "you're fired" with a French accent, referring to the renovation crew that was working on Notre Dame.
You're fired.
Because they were up there, because they were supposed to be renovating the spire. Well, the spire's gone now.
Congratulations, you fail.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'm sure,
on the
of
plus
course,
side,
we've all-
all of the really important little tidbits that were supposed to be in the church were moved because of the construction, and the stained glass is still up, folks.
Yes. If it had been another 15 minutes of that fire, we would be in a post Notre Dame Cathedral world.
Yeah, that'd be horrific.
You know, they had to evacuate the entire island that Notre Dame is on, don't you?
Really?
Yes. It is on, I don't know if you know the layout of France or Paris, but Notre Dame is on an island on the River Seine. It is... I was trying to remember the name.
So in other words, the church takes up most of the island.
No.
Oh.
The island's fairly big. I've looked at this before. It's kind of like the Paris version of Manhattan, but not quite as big.
Okay.
It is because there are other cathedrals even on this island. And it's the Ile de la Cité. It is literally right in the smack middle of Paris. And Notre Dame is on the southeastern corner of it. And then there's also Sainte-Chapelle, which is on the western side. And there's a huge hospital on the island as well, the general hospital. But they had to evacuate the entire island and put up barricades on the major bridges going in and out while they were fighting that fire. I'm not sure if they evacuated the hospital, but I know they had to evacuate all the people watching. It didn't stop people on their phones from being able to record the fall of the spire.
Yeah, I believe that was like a boat passing by or something within that one that I saw at least.
You could see it from like probably the road on the other side of the island.
And probably too, yeah. That's not a particularly short spire of any kind.
No. So, yeah. that's the biggest news. I mean, that's going to be the news that's going to be dominating the week.
Probably.
I think they've already gotten like what, about €1 billion pledge to re-renovate the cathedral.
Yeah, something like that's going to get people going, oh, fuck that. No, we're going to use some money and you're going to get that shit back up in order.
What's
Which in its
depressing?
own way is kind of funny because the church is supposed to pay for that kind of stuff, but they don't.
Yeah, well, the Catholic Church never pays for anything. It's kind of what they do. They just sit and hoard it.
Well,
But
yeah.
no. But what bothers me is the fact that there was original wood vaulted ceiling planks in there 800 years old,
Ooh.
and those are gone. And I'm like sitting here looking at this going, dude, we put something together today, it's already failing in 20 years. Where did we like forget to how to make shit?
In a lot of cases, at least for housing, building houses, that's low end because we do put no effort into it, to be honest. We pop
Well,
up
that's the
things
thing, we
so damn
don't-
quick that we just try and spread them off shotgun across the countryside and fill it in with more people for no discernible reason. And then you wonder why this stuff is cheap and falls apart.
The spire itself was only 200 to 300 years old. It was a replacement for a previous spire which had burnt down, I think, in the 1600s.
Oh wow! So this isn't the first Notre Dame fire.
Oh, hell no.
Nope. Nah, I was kind of figuring it wouldn't be the first and only fire. There's had to have been at least a couple.
I mean, hell, it almost got. Apparently, the whole thing almost got like blown up or something in World War II when France was being occupied. But
Yeah, that's because the Nazis were jerks. And would do stuff like that.
Hell, because of them,
course.
a major portion of Metropolis will never be recovered. One of my favorite movies, Metropolis.
I thought they'd recovered it finally.
They've recovered a mass majority of it, but a lot of the stuff they recovered is still like horribly mangled. And there's still, I believe, somewhere around the vicinity of 10 to 20 minutes missing. That it'll probably never be recovered. Which is better than the hour and a half that was missing originally.
You know, I always hear about, people going through and destroying these historical landmarks because it's not their faith or it's not their culture, and it just absolutely just buries me that these pieces of history can just be gone because somebody's a douche.
Yeah, that was happening, I believe, in the Middle East with ISIS.
Yes, it was. And I mean, it's
that's
also
literally their culture, and they're destroying it. Oh, great.
And I mean, it's something that's happened historically. Think of the library at Alexandria.
Yeah.
And how much knowledge was destroyed there because somebody decided it was tactically advisable. And that's not the first time and not the last. It's just every time I hear about that kind of stuff, I just cry because it's, lost portions of our history that we'll never get back.
Matter of fact, there's so much of it's lost at this point. What Howard made up with Conan might as well be our real history, for all we know.
At this point, it's starting to look like it. You're wondering, give it 1,000 years if they'll be teaching about the Hyborian era there just because that's what they've managed to recover.
It's the closest to being true as far as we can figure.
Yeah. As they're in New York, and yeah.
We were a bunch of dumb apes just constantly clubbing each other over the head.
Yep.
And then we learned iron and continued to club each other over the head.
Anyway, so tonight's show, enough little historical bits. First of all, we've got news and birthdays, and we've got a lot of those, so we're going to buckle down and get to those.
Just breeze through.
Do we have any geek talk tonight?
Not that I can think of, no.
No, I don't
Unless we
think
want
so.
to do because we don't really talk about trailers or anything, and that's all there
No.
really
No,
is.
we've got there's
We used to
trailers.
cover trailers, but I think we kind of moved on.
Yeah, because otherwise it got too much.
Mm.
Because there's like a gazillion trailers out. They all
yeah,
drop
there's
at
been
once.
too many lately.
Yeah. I guess at the same time, we've also got enough news to make up for it anyway.
No review of Shame this week. No rant from me. No YouTube comments. So after the news, we are going to go straight into our episode review, the first part of the good with the arc. I do have a little bit I want to say about the episode first. And I mean, basically, I'm just going to state why I nominated it for the good. And then we can go on with our summary, our review, our final thoughts, and our ratings. Great. So let's get into birthdays. Because we got 2 weeks of birthdays, and there's quite a few of them.
Mm-hmm.
The first one was the 6th of April. If you remember, our last broadcast was on the 3rd.
Yep.
And this was the birthday of Mark Strickson, who played companion Turlo Vislor from the 1983 to 84 season. That was Modern Undead to, God, what was it? Planet of Fire, I think?
Planet of Fire,
yeah.
Yep.
Planet of Fire, yeah.
Yep, he turned 60. Next, we go forward to the 9th, and it's the birthday of Neve McIntosh, who we were discussing last broadcast, I believe. Plays Madame Vastra from 2011 to 2016.
Yeah, we covered the fact
Also
that she plays almost all of the
female
race. Yeah.
Yeah, all the female Silurians.
Silurians, yeah.
And she turned 47. Then we jump forward to the 13th of April and the birthday of Peter Davidson, who played the Doctor from 1982 through 84, a.k.a. the Fifth Doctor. He turned 68. The very next day, the 14th, is the birthday of Peter Capaldi, who played the Doctor from 2013 to 2017, also known as the 12th Doctor. He turned 61. Now think about that. There's like 40 years between them. They're almost the same age. Also on the 14th of April is the birthday of Terrence Dix, a writer and script editor from 1969 to 1974, also known as the guy who wrote a crap ton of the Target novelization books. He turned 84. And yeah, he's apparently still kicking.
Oh, yeah. Terrence is not gone yet.
Next is the 15th of April, and is the birthday of Maisie Williams, who played Ashildr, or me, in 2016. She turns 22 and is probably one of the youngest people still on our birthday list as a recurring character.
Mm-hmm.
The same day is the birthday of Peter Moffat, a director from 1981 to 1985. Would have been No. There's apparently a gazillion Moffats in England.
Yeah, Moffats are apparently all over in England. It's almost as common as Smith.
Yeah. At least in the acting business, anyway, in the film industry. Anyway, he would have been 96, but he died in 2007 at 84. The 16th of April is the birthday of Derek Sherwin, a story editor from 68 to 69 and a producer from 69 to 70. Oversaw the transition to the Pertwee era. Would have been 83, but died in 2018 at 82. I think I remember us announcing his death last year.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, today, the 17th of April, is the birthday of David Bradley, the first Doctor from 2017's Twice Upon a Time, as well as Adventures in Space and Time and Big Finish Audios. He has turned 77.
Is it okay to call him Curse Breaker Doctor?
I don't know. I still think of him as Argus Filch.
Well, he's also the one that broke the curse of getting new First Doctors and having them suddenly be lost to us.
Don't.
And
Hey, yeah,
he's already Curse Breaker. It's already been more than 1 year.
It's been, yes, but give it 3. Give it 3.
How long ago was his appearance? That was at least 2 years.
Yeah, but it was like at least 2-3 years before his final appearance. And Bradley's appearance as the Doctor in 2017 was at Christmas. So
Yeah.
it's basically been a year and a few months. Anyway, that's
All
it
right.
for birthdays.
Well, technically he's played it for longer, but yeah.
We now go to episode news.
Okay. The Doctor Who crew is reported filming in, I'm probably going to butcher this, Tenerife, I'm just going to assume, in the Canary Islands, the first week of April. As usual, most of the filming was kept under wraps. This filming is part of Block 2, which consists of episodes 3 and 4. Filming wrapped up on the 6th of April, and the crew returned to Rothlock in Cardiff to do the studio scenes. A shot of one of the costumes made it to Instagram, but unfortunately it has been removed.
Yeah, I
Dun,
went to
dun,
go
dun.
see it, and it's like, this has been removed by Instagram. God damn it. Because they're talking about how elaborate and everything it is. I'm like, where?
Slap on the hand. Slap on the hand on deletion from the BBC.
Which I would really, that just shows that since whether it's because of him or just they've changed their mindset, that the BBC are like, okay, no, we're not letting anything get out.
Yeah, because you know what the picture was? It was them getting coffee in costume. It
Wouldn't be
was
surprised.
shots, and they were basically at a vendor getting a cup of coffee.
Not coffee. Shock.
Well, maybe tea. I don't know. It was something in a styrofoam cup.
Dun, dun. Not styrofoam. That becomes poison gas.
Anyway. Okay, Bradley Walsh was doing some follow-up shooting on Barry Island, perhaps as reshoots on Block 1. A casting call was made for a stunt double for Walsh, and he took the time to do some candid shoots with fans.
Just some on-the-street shoots. There was one showing him eating ice cream with a fan, and that kind of stuff. So he was out and about, and yeah, that casting call came up. So, I don't know what's up with that. If it might be that it's a supplementary scene that's appearing in a later episode, but yeah, that's happening.
Sweetness.
Yeah, a couple of fans caught him by the look of it.
Yep.
Okay, so then we go to awards.
Yes.
The Lucy Wilson Mysteries novel, Curse of the Mirror Clowns, was nominated for the Scribe Awards in the Young Adult / Middle Grade category. That's from Radar.
Yeah, the Scribe Awards is a internationally recognized writing awards. I had to actually look up the fact that what category it's in. They actually do have several nominations. Big Finish is nominated for some of their stuff quite frequently. But let's see. Because there's a audio drama category. And I think all of the entries was Big Finish. Audio dramas: Blake 7, The Way Ahead by Mike Wright. Dark Shadows, The Girl Beneath the Water by Lila Whelan. Doctor Who, The Calendar Man by A.K. Benedict. Doctor Who, The Invention of Death by John Dorney. Doctor Who, The War Master, Master of Callus by James Goss and Guy Adams. That's their nominations for audio drama, and I'm pretty sure it's all Big Finish.
Because Big Finish wins.
Yeah. So basically, it's sort of like how the one of those big award ceremonies anyway usually ends up. Basically, it's just Disney and Pixar and like one independent thing maybe.
Well, name another company that's doing
audios and they're actually well liked.
Well, yeah, true.
I mean, they pretty much have the field. By the way, the Scribe Awards is given out by the International Association of Media Tie-in Writers. So this is basically a company that does their awards for novels and media based on, existing franchises. The Lucy Wilson Mysteries is up in the young adult middle grade category, up against Broken Lands by Jonathan Mayberry. Maberry, I don't know. Harmswood Academy #3, The Sphinx by Aletha Contis. Smallfoot by Tracy West. Star Wars The Last Jedi Junior novel by Michael Kage. And Star Wars The Last Jedi movie storybook by Elizabeth Schaefer.
Yeah, the only other audio company I could think of is Audible, and I'm not even sure if they do everything in-house. They just sell it.
But there's also the categories they also have are short story, original novel general, original novel speculative, and there's a couple of Star Trek Discovery novels in there. Audio drama, adapted novel based on a screenplay. And by the way, Matt, you'll be happy to know that one of the novels nominated is the novelization of Halloween.
Ooh, nice.
Also, the novelization of The Predator.
Oh, Speaking of which, I need to see the new The Predator movie, even though I hear it's been meh.
Anyway, that's about all I can find on that, but yeah. All right, so the Children's Hospices of Scotland, or CHAS, is inviting the population to get its geek on, and I think we should talk to our solicitors about... Oh, wait, GeekCon doesn't have any solicitors anymore. Never mind. On the weekend of the 3rd of May, by wearing the t-shirt of your favorite geekdom, whether it's Doctor Who, Star Trek, Star Wars, Harry Potter, or Lord of the Rings, supporters just need to don their t-shirt and pledge £2 to 0141-779-6180 or visiting www.chas.org.uk/donate. This event has been supported by many Scottish actors, including Peter Capaldi, who have already pledged to participate in the event.
I wonder what he'll be wearing.
Yeah, I have no idea. He'll probably come out with a frickin' Harry Potter t-shirt just because.
uh,
Well, everyone thought I'd be wearing Doctor Who.
Surprise! Actually, you better be like, surprise! He throws off the jacket and it's a tie-dye Star Trek shirt or something.
Can you just see Peter Capaldi doing "Live Long and Prosper"? No. It hurts my brain.
I already did the hand gesture.
Yeah, I had to train my hand as a high schooler to just be able to throw that without even flinching.
I've been always been able to do it with both hands. Ooh, wow.
All right.
Oops. Didn't mean to clap that loud.
So next we go to media releases, and there's a couple of media release news.
Okay, the next classic season on Blu-ray has been announced. Season 10 in the John Pertwee era is next, with Katie Manning as Jo Grant. This Blu-ray collection will span 6 discs and includes all 5 of the stories comprising Season 10, plus an extra bonus disc. In addition to the features previously available on the DVD releases, the set will also include a brand new feature-length documentary examining the Third Doctor's era, with archival contributions from John Pertwee, Barry Letts, and Terrence Dix, plus all new interviews with Katie Manning, Stephen Moffat, and Mark Gatiss, presented by Matthew Sweet. Updated special effects and surround sound mixing for Planet of the Daleks. 5 new installments of Behind the Sofa, featuring Katie Manning, Richard Franklin, who played Captain Yates, and John Levine, who played Sergeant Benton, along with 21st Century Doctor Who panel Phil Collinson, who is a executive producer, and Tate McTighe, or T or something. kind of crap with some of these names, but anyway, he was a writer, and Joy Wilkinson, who was also a writer. Looking for Lenny, a documentary investigating the life of director Lenny Mayne, and Keeping Up with the Joneses, which sees Katie Manning and Stuart Bevan, Cliff Jones, pay a return visit to the Welsh locations from the Green Death.
Which they do tease a little bit of that in the trailer for the set.
I'm not sure. I'm thinking that's going to be more of a documentary style of them returning to the actual locations and talking
More than
about.
likely, but they did do their own variation of tease, though.
Yeah. Okay. Plus a repeat omnibus of the Green Death on scene since Christmas 1973. Rare Panopticon convention footage, Blu-ray trailer, HD photo galleries, plus scripts, production files, and rare documentation provided as PDFs. The set will also include Death of the Doctor, which featured Katie Manning reprising her role as Jo in the Sarah Jane Adventures. The Season 10 collection is due to be released on the 8th of July.
Yeah, we did watch the trailer for that, and it was pretty well inspired. It was awesome.
It was some wonderful tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah. It's almost too bad they didn't still have any of those little prop maggot things from back then.
I thought they did pretty good with special effects. I'm like, oh, those are the new maggots. Wow. Are they gonna overlay those on the Green Death? I really want to know now.
Okay, and we also have something else. In New Who news, the latest Steelbook series is coming out with the Series 4 Steelbook. David Tennant is joined by Catherine Tate as Donna Noble in this series that sees the return of many of the former companions and appearances from the cast of Torchwood and Sarah Jane Smith. The Series 4 Steelbook is due to be released on the 27th of May.
Not to mention the return of Davros in that season.
Yes. Well, we have news from Candy Jar Books. Candy Jar has announced the next free-for-download book in the Lethbridge Stewart series. In Pirates of the Prime Meridian, the Brigadier is summoned to the town of Peacehaven to find that the town has been made host to pirates throughout time. Pirates of the Prime Meridian is free for download from the Candy Jar website.
Pirates from throughout time. That's actually kind of an interesting concept.
Yep.
I steal treasures and doubloons. What do you steal? I steal planets!
I'm just kind of curious on that one a little bit, but because Pirates of the Prime Meridian, it sounds, I don't know if they're going to be doing it serious or tongue-in-cheek.
Could be either.
Yeah.
All right, so that takes us to our Big Finish news. Out last week, the Doctor goes head-to-head with the Ravenous, finally, in Ravenous 3. The Ravenous are creatures right out of the darkest part of Time Lord mythology, and this makes the Time Lords desperate. And desperate Time Lords are dangerous Time Lords. Ravenous 3 is available now from Big Finish at the pre-order discount price of £22.99 on CD or £19.99 on download. I'll remind you that buying those in the US will get you an upcharge. Also, the second Doctor learns Venusian Aikido in the latest short trip from Big Finish. In this story, narrated by Fraser Hines, the Doctor's plans go awry as the TARDIS becomes a prize in the Venusian Olympics. And the third prize at that. Can the crew make their way into the Olympics and only manage to come in third? Year of the Drex Olympics is available now for £2.99 download only from Big Finish. And I don't know if those get up. They probably get upcharged too. That's still going to be.
It's all of it. It's all the prices should be updated by now.
So that's going to be about $4.
Yeah.
Are they saying just pounds for prices now, or yeah, they're just saying pounds. Okay.
Okay, moving along. Outside of Doctor Who, Big Finish has had a very successful line with Cicero, a Roman politician from the time of Caesar's ascendance. Now that line merges with the Doctor Who line when Cicero meets the Fifth Doctor in October and November's main range stories. Institutional, Feast of Fear and Warzone Conversion. These stories will see the Fifth Doctor, Tegan and Nyssa show up in pre-season Naples and meet the famous orator.
Yeah, the prices of that one are just going to be whatever the main range winds up being.
Probably.
But this one became a news article rather than an advert because they're taking two of their lines and bringing them together. So that's interesting. And by the way, apparently for the download version, same price, at least for the short trip, from US $2.99.
Yeah.
Must be close enough, maybe. I don't know.
Let me check out Ravenous 3 and see what happens.
At the same time, the closer Brexit gets, the shittier the pound is going to
Okay.
be. So.
All right. So pre-order pound, $19.99 on download. Available from US, $20.
So it's not a huge change then.
Not right now. That's a penny difference. Of course, I don't know. The CD version gets the upcharge.
There we go. Yeah, because that's going to be a lot for shipping.
$22.99 or 22 pounds 99 pence on CD. $30.01 to buy US.
Yeah, because you got to pay for extra shipping and stuff. Yep.
Yeah.
It's actually not bad for shipping from what I've heard from Britain.
Yeah. Well, no, this is before shipping prices.
Well, still.
That's just the purchase price.
Yeah, it's the physical copy that they're going to be charging particularly hard on. Because they got to make
the postage and packaging, the total after postage and packaging becomes $42.42.
Whew.
Yeah,
that's almost double the price.
Yeah. I just decided to add it to the basket and see what it would come to. And yeah, that's it.
All right. And I think that's it.
Yeah. Considering we don't have any geek talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, we stated that we're not doing geek talk today, so yeah, that's it for our news for today.
Yeah, we managed to blast through it, didn't we?
Interesting thing is
we managed to get we managed to get through it in about half an hour.
Yes, we did.
Hot damn.
Because the funny thing is, I would have had some geek talk, but I wasn't able to afford to go to the movies, so expect like 5 movies from me next week.
All of the movies, every movie.
Yeah. we're gonna have Avengers the week after.
Yeah, the week after next, we're going to make it to Avengers.
And I can pretty much tell you that my review of it next week in Geek Talk will basically be either go see it or don't, because I'm just gonna not say anything.
Just don't pull a Jay Sherman on us.
It stinks. It stinks. It stinks.
Yes. Here's the review for the latest part of the MCU. It stinks.
If you don't like it, don't watch it.
Glad to see I'm not the only one that remembers the critic.
I remember the time the critic was on The Simpsons.
Yeah.
I don't remember him being on The Simpsons. I just remember
he went over there for one episode.
I was gonna say it. I think that's the only thing I know before.
Oh yeah, I watched the TV show. He had his own TV show, man. When did the critic actually air?
Yes, these fish taste better even when you're dead.
That was, 1994 to 1995.
Stay tuned for my future review of Home Alone 10. Ah!
and apparently made a resurgence around 2000 in like 3 to 5 minute shorts. Where I guess they just like did little coming attractions, maybe.
Maybe.
Oh yeah, they actually crossed over with The Simpsons a few times. Yeah, in A Star Is Burns, and then later on in Hurricane Nettie. And then he's seen in the background in The Ziff Who Came to Dinner, so. Because apparently every character that Lovitz has voiced was in Moe's Tavern in a scene in that one. But yeah, I remember when this show was on, it was just like, I thought that was sometimes it was great and sometimes it was grating, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'll skip over the part where Archer Schwarzenegger tries to sing.
All right.
So yeah, we're our next step is the stopwatch.
Yep, I know. I'm looking back at season 11. I was the last one to do a review.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas did it twice before that. Looks like Tim is now elected.
All right, Timothy, tell me when you're ready. Silence.
Tim, I think, is suddenly going, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap.
That or his phone cut out on him. I don't know.
That's always possible.
Because knowing our luck.
Yeah, well, if he fails, you're next, Matt.
That or he went AFK and didn't expect us to suddenly call on him.
Usually when we're going AFK, somebody posts to the channel and lets us know.
Usually, but not always. Tim?
Earth to Planet Tim. Planet Tim, we are calling. Ground control to Major Tim.
Your circuit's dead. There's something wrong. Can you hear me, Major Tim? I guess I can just do it if he's not gonna be here, and he can do it. He can do it next time.
Provided he gets to do Pyramids of Mars, then. All right, let me pull up the stopwatch.
Here am I floating in my tin can.
Come on. Hate it when it does this.
Oh, yeah, his internet must have cut out or something.
Oh, this is going to be an interesting night, isn't it? Bill's gone. Tim is non-operational. Oh, boy. All right, I got the stopwatch. Are you ready, Matt?
Just really quick, I'm bringing up the Wikipedia in case I have any blurs on memory, name memories. Okay, there we go.
You ready?
All right.
In 3, 2, 1, jam.
All right, so we kick off the story with the Doctor and crew landing as usual in the middle of nowhere. Dodo immediately takes off and wants to have a look around.
Oh, sorry, my iPad crashed for a second there.
It's all right.
Stop.
Let Matt finish the summary.
Yeah, I was gonna.
We might as well stop and restart because we're officially off now.
Yeah.
All right.
Reset.
All right. Once again, Matt. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. The TARDIS and crew land in what is assumably the middle of a jungle. Immediately, Dodo hops outside and just wants to take a breather. Steve, I believe it was, comes out and starts to go, what the heck are you... Steven immediately comes out and starts going, what the heck are you doing? We could be a place that's poisoned air or doesn't have air at all, etc., etc. She's just like, I just want to take a breather. Besides, look at this place. I know exactly what's going on here. There's way too many weird animals and flora. This can't just be a real jungle. We gotta be somewhere. I bet you we're in London. I've seen this. I've been in this dome before, etc., etc. And the doctor comes out and starts to agree with Dodo. There's way too much odd stuff, and matter of fact, they start seeing stuff like elephants and desert reptiles and all this other crazy stuff. And it's just like, okay, this is a hodgepodge of all over the place. Like they're seeing stuff from Africa, they're seeing stuff from America over there, and some other country over there, and so a list of weird things. What we find out is that this is a dome that's supposed to have apparently the last of humanity held within it. It's a dome-shaped, more or less, spaceship, and what they are in is one of their agriculture areas. And the humans are in there, and they're in full control, but there's only a small amount of them, as they have micro-shrunk the rest of humanity and have put them on preserve, if you will, and they're waiting until they get to their new home planet before they are unfrozen and brought back to normal size. I'm trying to find their names really quickly. I'm not sure what the aliens were called again.
Monoids.
Monoids. They also, before the humans apparently took off from Earth, a race called the Monoids, there it is, I just found it, were also a part of Earth. They apparently came there to be peaceful and to hopefully have a decent coexistence with them. As time has gone on, apparently the humans started treating them more and more like servants. And even though they haven't reached any kind of boiling point, they still are working pretty feverishly underneath the humans. Long story short, Dodo has a cold, which is why she wanted to take a quick walk to try and clear her head. Her cold only continues to get worse, as it then also suddenly starts to spread to the other humans on the ship. These humans, having for centuries been beyond and having completely destroyed the common cold, but now have reintroduced to their systems, and they can't handle it. And I believe at one point even one of them dies from it, as well as a lot of the monoids dying from it, if not becoming extremely ill. They're put on trial. Originally, they are going to be thrown into space until their leader actually takes charge from his sickbed. He manages to convince the current temporary leader, as well as others in the room with him, that they need to stop and they need to let the doctor try, at the very least, to help them. And that the doctor should, at the very least, use Steve, who's also recently gotten sick, as a test pig for his planned vaccination for the virus. All goes well according to plan. The group is forgiven and also allowed back to their TARDIS, to which they then take off, but land almost exactly the same spot, only to find out that 700 years have passed, and the statue that the Guardians, as they call themselves, were building is no longer completely human, as the head of it has been changed into a monoid, and they're not sure what's going on. The rest of the story unfolds that they get to the head station of the ship to check the monitors and find out that the monoids have taken over completely. They have apparently in the last couple of years overthrown the humans and now treat the humans as slaves, even worse than the monoids were originally treated, at least from what we saw. And the humans are trying to plan their own possible revolt, while a handful of them are complete and total lapdogs that don't know any other way of life, apparently. The Doctor and Dodo are taken with the first monoid, number 2, to go to the surface of their new home planet to check out what's going on down there and see if the locals are hostile or not, and also see if everything is okay for landing to get the monoids off the ship. The leader of the monoids, number 1, has already planted an explosive device, and it's secretly been planted inside of the monoid-headed statue, so that way when everyone is off the ship, they will blow it up and kill all of the humans. And all of Earth's humanoids would be completely gone, except for the monoids, who will take over the new planet. However, when they try to make contact with the locals on the planet, I'm trying to remember what the planet was called.
Refusus.
Refuses. Okay.
Refuses. When the Refusions proved to be impossible to see and almost godlike in the capabilities, they are able to levitate things and place things back together. They are able to build things from just raw materials. When the Refusions actually takes multiple Refusions take the pods back up to the ship to try and save the humans. Their leader just stays behind to help out the humans as they try to find out where the bomb is to save their ark, as they have already taken to calling it now, and helps them dispose of the monoid-headed statue to let it explode safely in space. The humans and monoids that are left are brought back down to the planet. They are allowed to stay, and the Refusions have also told them that they need to make peace with one another and learn to coexist again more properly this time. And then they will be allowed to take over the planet. Well, the Refusions who no longer have an overly physical form can safely allow them to reside in peace on their planet and to continue the peace that they originally started as well. With that, the Doctor and companions are finally allowed to go back to the TARDIS and take off yet again, only for, at the very end, the Doctor to start going invisible and for reasons yet unknown. And thus ends the story.
All right, so you did it in 6 minutes and 50 seconds.
For 4 episodes, there's a lot going on.
Mm-hmm. Now, like I said, before we did the review, I wanted to take a moment and say why I actually have this in our list of the good. And that is, for one, for me, this is the first episode of Doctor Who I ever saw. For two, it is one of the few episodes where you actually get the same place, different time.
Possibly the first time they did that, yes.
Now, if this episode had been made in today's era, this would have been 2 separate episodes over the course of a season. Like the first 2 episodes would have been a single episode 3 or 4 of a season, and then the second one would have been them coming back around episode 11 or 12.
Well, yeah, actually, yeah. The thing that I could think of when you bring that analogy up is like The Long Game and Bad Wolf.
Yes, exactly. Which is pretty much the same concept of the same location, different time. But this, of course, is kind of the original of that. And to see that, how they worked that back in the 60s is just, because 2 seasons of Doctor Who in the belt, they'd never actually done something like this before. And for me, that always made this episode stand out. So that's why I incorporated that in the good. So now we are going to talk about what we liked about this episode. And since Bill is not here, I am crossing him out.
Cross him out until he shows up.
Bill has failed this city.
We built this city.
All right, so coming after that, Matt.
Oh, I get to be the first one to announce what they like.
Went in freaking alphabetical order. I rolled on everybody's name. I rolled a 1 every time. What's the statistical probability of that? I roll a D4, a D3, and a D2. 1, 1, 1. Hey!
Well, at least it was this and not like an actual D&D.
Oh, I've rolled plenty of 1s in D&D, let me tell you.
It sucks every time.
I've rolled plenty of 20s too.
Good old Pinky.
Oh, yeah. The Legend of Pinky.
So overall thing I liked about this episode, I liked the costuming. The humans not so much, but definitely the monoids in particular. They are
for 1960s.
They are really interesting costumes.
1965, that costume was really good. I mean, you could still tell it was basically a person wrapped in a tarp.
with a Mel Howard wig on, yeah.
But that eye.
That eye in particular, and just how animated it was at just the right
And-
times.
Yeah, and it wasn't just like the eye was open all the time. Sometimes the eye was half open.
Half
And,
open, partially open, wide open, blinking.
Squinty.
How expressive that goddamn eye was amazing.
But speaking of the human costumes, I was just wondering, what trajectory does fashion take in the 10,000 years that's what we end up with? Like streamers wearing
somehow, yeah,
streamers.
somehow we're wearing just costumes made out of bangles or something.
Oh fuck! You're on a climate-controlled ship.
I suppose you could just make
years.
it temperate enough that everyone's just like, oh yeah, let's just wear this airy lax stuff.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
I predict in 10,000 years we'll be wearing bell bottoms and members only jackets.
Does that mean that hot pants will make a revival?
We'll be wearing vault suits. Why? Because it's the same thing. Enclosed, climate-controlled environment. Unless you're in the one vault where they made sure that all the suit dispensers failed 6 months after the vault was closed.
Whoops. Well, in that case, I think they just smashed the vault vending machine and just get the suits out of there.
No, I think they didn't include them.
Oh.
That's actually, by the way, in the Fallout list of vaults.
Wouldn't surprise me. There's some crazy ass shit in there.
I think it was one of the ones that eventually created New Vegas.
Explains so much. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, that's Matt's was the costuming, especially on the monoids. Thomas.
There is the most obvious one, but instead I'm going to say that the overall thing I liked was the fact that they essentially did split this in half, where you spend 2 full episodes with one set of people and the one environment, and then like the 2 episodes having jumped forward. Because I feel like I was almost expecting it to just be like one and done for like the previous people. It was just going to be like one episode with them, and then the rest of the serial would be like the jump forward. So it was actually kind of nice to have 2 full episodes to get to know the setting properly, and then jump forward.
You mean because of the old format where they just kind of cut it in half?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, well, at the same time, 2 classic episodes of Doctor Who runs about 50 minutes. So you're basically getting about the equivalent of 1 episode of Doctor Who, maybe with a couple of minutes extra.
Mm-hmm.
In the modern age.
Yeah, that's plenty to do at least a good solid first part story on.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're actually using your time correctly.
And then though you do come back to it, so it's like, hey. All right. Tim.
Okay, now I promise it's not in an ironic way. I genuinely liked this aspect of the episode. I love how it's like skirted the line between show and tell of like the moments where the Doctor and Steven had to like sort of straight up explain to people like what was going on. Is like, they've caught your cold. But Doctor, it's just a cold. Yes, but these people haven't had a cold in 10,000 years. That means they could die, and it could be dun 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 our fault. But there were moments like this that just sort of like really amused me and got my interest.
Yeah, I like the fact that they did that without feeling like they were browbeating you with it.
Yeah.
It was actually a logical progression, and they actually did a smooth transition to explain it, just in case.
Mm-hmm. This is well, And
they were actually pretty good at that back in the first Doctor era.
Here or there, yeah.
And if I can talk about what Thomas was saying, I did get like a little thrill when I noticed like at the end of the second episode was sort of like a fake out where it's like, all right, the adventure's going time. Oh no, we're still here. You know, like. Did anyone else get a Planet of the Apes vibe when they find the complete statue?
Yes,
Kind of, sort of, yeah.
The thing is, it for me, it was actually kind of hitting me as kind of the rise of the Planet of the Apes bit. Or yeah, Planet of the Apes, it's like, yeah, because you got the subservient race. And you realize this was a good 3 years before the first Planet of the Apes movie.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And even then, the Planet of the Apes wouldn't hit on the whole backstory of why the apes took over until years later anyway, so...
Mm-hmm.
Almost a decade later, actually, in fact.
Yep. But yeah, that was kind of... It was reminding me a little bit of Planet of the Apes when I was thinking about it while I was watching. Yeah.
In the good ways.
Yeah. And now I just looked and it's like it's predating it by 3 years, so hey.
Doctor Who just walked in there and just owned it.
Yep. So yeah, what I liked, I mentioned it before, is that 100-year time or that 700-year time skip in there is just perfect because it does something that Doctor Who usually doesn't, where they just land in a time period, have an adventure, and go away.
They try to go away, but it's not quite right.
Mm-hmm. And that concept, I can tell you, as an 8-year-old watching this on an old black and white television in my grandfather's room.
Oh, watching a story like this when you're 8 years old probably just blew your brain.
It fascinated me. I had no idea what the fuck I was watching. And it's just like, I don't know what this is.
All of a sudden, they just step outside and they're like, we're still in the same spot. That's weird. Look up at the statue. Oh, no.
I'm like, whoa. I can tell you, yeah, this was... And like I said, I was watching this on an old 1950s console black and white television. You know, the kind that takes up, you know, like the size of a modern entertainment center and has a screen the size of a postage stamp.
You were going for the whole retro experience.
It was just that was the TV that was available at the time. In my that was my grandfather's antique TV. And I'm just like, I forget what he was watching, like Bassmasters or something, when he fell asleep and Doctor Who came on afterwards. And I'm just like, whoa. Little 8-year-old me suddenly glued to the television, just watching it like 3 inches away. You know, I couldn't believe this stuff. Because let me tell you, other than that, my grandmother's house was pretty boring.
I get that feeling once in a while.
You know, I mean, I remember days I would go up on the hill across the street from my grandmother's house and watch cars go by because I was that bored.
You don't even get that at my grandmother's place.
Yeah. But yeah, suddenly for like 2 hours, I'm absolutely just riveted to the screen. So, yeah. That whole concept of suddenly, wait a minute, there's 700 years later. What? Really? I had no idea what it did, but it fascinated me. I thought it was the greatest thing ever.
And now commercial break.
No, public television, Matt. Fuck you.
Oh, they still took self-advertisement breaks in between shows.
Nope. Remember, this was the 80s. So all of Doctor Who was brought over by a production company called Lionheart. And what Lionheart did is it took the 4 episodes.
And chunked them together into a movie?
Yes.
Mm.
So I got to watch it 2 hours or, hour and a half straight.
Yeah.
And It just absolutely fascinating. I didn't even know Doctor Who came in episode-sized bites until the 90s.
Dang.
That's because everything we had here came through Lionheart. And it was only when I started renting episodes I hadn't seen from like local video stores. It's like, wait a minute. These are episode by episode. What the hell? This isn't how I remembered it. What did they... Oh... You know, and, since then, it's been, 20-some years since then, and my brain has gone, okay, yeah, this is what they did, and I accept that now. But I can tell you, 80s me only knew the Lionheart Doctor Who. It only knew it in movie format, and it would piss me off sometimes why one episode was an hour and a half, and the next episode was 2.5 hours. Screw up my videotape timing. Because by that point, Doctor Who was on Sunday nights at like 11. And I was a school kid, so I couldn't stay up that late. But or sometimes I did. Because Mr. Olson, my 7th grade science teacher, used to start out Mondays going, so let's talk about last night's episode of Doctor Who and how it actually applied to real-world science. Greatest freaking class ever. Then he blew up the lab with a side project and got in trouble.
Whoops.
Come on, anybody else ever have a science teacher like that?
No, nowhere
Honest
near
to
as
God.
fun. All my science
man.
teachers were real dry.
Well, mind you, I only had him like the second semester. The first semester we had, I think her name was Mrs. Peterson. And I mean, she still had like the 50s beehive hairdo in 1989.
Ugh.
And yeah, I freaking hated her class. And then we had Mr. Olson, and I never missed a class because it's like, no, this is great. Second favorite class I ever had. Best class? History. 9th grade. Walk into the class the first day. The teacher looks at us and goes, welcome to 5,000 years of sex and gore, or as they like to call it, world history.
Ooh, my.
I was freaking riveted. Freaking riveted. And, if a teacher can grab you like that and have you hanging on their every word, more power to them, because that means you retain this stuff years later instead of it going in one ear and out the other.
Basically, yeah. Because you need to find some way to get the dang kids to pay attention.
Yes.
Otherwise, it just oozes out. Not to mention these poor kids have enough stresses on their brains already outside of trying to remember anything they learned in your class.
All right, so let's move on about what we dislike about this. We've been
Tangent, yeah.
Yep. So, Matt, what did you dislike about this episode?
What did I dislike about this episode? No, that'd be a scene, more or less. Just an overall thing I didn't like. I think we kind of hit on it before. As much as I love the monoids costuming, the human costuming felt like it ran a little bit short. Like, what are these guys supposed to be? A bunch of cavemen? Why are they on a spaceship? I guess you can make excuses for it, but it's the only real world excuse is low budget.
Right.
Probably because they threw all the money into the 6 or so monoids they made.
My excuse is it was the 60s.
A little bit of that too.
Yeah. It's the joke I had in my head was that they seem like they went for something like ancient Rome or Greece, but they only had tassels.
Well, take a look back a couple years at the Thals from the Daleks, and they're basically wearing leather pants with what looks to be
V-shaped
foam.
tunics.
Yeah, V-shaped foam tunics.
Yeah, it's not much better than the Thals, but at least the Thals had pants.
All I want is pants. A decent pair of pants.
Guardians want pants too!
All right, so Thomas, what about you? What did you dislike about this episode?
I feel like just to go for something I can actually think of would be there's a few times where it just feels like they started recording. It's like there's I swear to God there's at least one scene that like demonstrates what I mean very blatantly. But like it feels like it happens a few times throughout, and maybe this is just again a problem of this is early TV, or at least early UK TV. But it just seems like they're pressing record, like they're recording, and they've said action, so people aren't actually doing anything until like a second after the shot goes on to them, and it just really kind of threw me
Oh,
out
that's
in
right. I
some
did catch a
cases.
couple of those.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, you got to remember, yeah, this is something. It is something to do with the British, the way the British TV worked back in the day. Is the fact that remember they had X amount of time
Yeah.
before the thing turned off, so they tried to get it done in basically one take.
Yeah, it's why I never really mind so much if there's a bit of a flub on a line, which there's a few in this, but I
Yeah,
can
I noticed one in
forgive
particular
that.
during the court scene. It's like, oh, ooh,
Yeah.
okay, he recovered, he recovered. Keep going. There you go.
Yeah.
You
If
got
he
it.
if he'd like absolutely shit the bed on it, they would have
They would have
started over,
restarted it,
but
yeah.
yeah, but like they seem to have a thing where so long as you keep it together and keep pushing ahead, you go. And the funny thing is sometimes that actually works because it makes them seem more natural. That they'd be talking a mile a minute, so they like flub on a word and have to like, oh, whoops, and then keep going. So in that case, it actually can sometimes work. But yeah, some of those shots where it's just like, ah, yes, look at these people in the kitchen and go. It's just like, okay. And
Whoops.
like, even I'm not even sure if it was unintentional, but there's like the shot where the doctor's like peering his head out the TARDIS, and then it's like a couple of seconds, and then he finally walks out. It's like, was that on purpose, or was that just a timing thing?
I don't recall that happening without dialogue going on, so.
Hmm.
All right. So Tim, how about you?
There were moments here and there when I noticed that humans and monoids both seem to have lost their ability to think and reason. Like, okay, so these three strangers show up and all of a sudden people get sick, you know. I get how that one guy was be suspicious, but to immediately go to, they're evil, they're spies, like, no, we're not, we're strangers, like, you lie, like, you know. And another example would be when Steven says, haven't you ever thought of fighting back? We can't. They have guns. Guns, and we don't. Don't. You know, it was like, well, like, if you all charged one of them at once, like, you know, or my favorite moment in this, well, quote, favorite moment, is when Steven asks the guard, have you checked that statue? And the guy says, what's the use? We're all doomed. Doomed. And then they say, oh, well, okay, get a hold of yourself, man. And then they proceed to not check the statue.
Hmm.
But, like, just those spots really bugged me.
Mm.
Some of it
So,
I can kind of, at least at first, I can kind of excuse when the guy's getting all panicky because it's like they're dealing with like they're basically isolated from everything. So one thing like that happening and one dude flipping his shit is like that kind of and getting like kind of fear mongering and shit. That did not like that was like okay, I could kind of get that, especially because there was still people.
all right.
Mm.
So the only thing I have to really bitch about this episode is, so when we get the Great Reversal, the Monoids essentially become the Daleks. I
Almost,
mean,
yeah.
it's that same mentality.
Mm.
We will conquer, dominate, and we will screw
Mm.
them over at the first possibility. Yeah, it just
Yeah.
it was real like cliche Dalek thinking.
Mm.
I'm gonna smash everything up, and that's gonna get my enemies' attention, so I can destroy them.
It's like,
Yeah.
what the hell? You don't even know what this race is, for you know they're not gonna try and rule you or anything, and you're trying to piss
Don't
them
care,
off to
we'll rule
start
them
with.
or
Like, what
destroy
the
them
hell?
either way. Oh wait, they're practically invisible gods. Oh shit, I done fucked the goose.
Was it for anyone else that it felt like giving the monoids voices in the second part, they sank further into into an uncanny valley?
No, it didn't bother me any.
Uncanny Valley?
Mm.
No, not really.
I think it's
Well,
just because at that point they kind of needed to be able to, whereas in the first 2 episodes they didn't really.
No, it did. That really didn't bother me with the Monoids. Just the fact that their mentality went just completely and totally.
From
Totally.
this went from completely docile to completely rage machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially considering this is supposed to be a recent thing, and it's not like, oh, in the past 100 years or so we took over.
Yeah,
It's
this sounded
the
like they had a
implication-
fight that lasted a while, but they recently, in like the last 10 or 20 years or so, took over completely.
Mm.
Yeah, it just. Okay. So let's move on to favorite scene. Matt, you are first.
Favorite scene? I'm going to decide on this one. If I'm going to pick one, I'm going to go with the scene where they walk into the room and the leader of the Guardians is like just all the flustered and leaning on like a bench or something to hold him. And while the some of the characters are leaning over trying to figure out what's going on with him, you literally just watch as Steven and the doctor slowly kind of pull away off to the side, and they start the quick talk about, yeah, that sickness Dodo brought in. You realize that these people aren't immune to it. They've just had it completely eradicated, so they don't have to fight anymore, right? So that means that not only is this going to be really bad for them, it could be literally deadly for them, as the guy is just barely close enough behind them to be watching them and listening at the same time. Just a perfect frame up.
All right. Thomas.
Mine would probably be from episode 2, where the guy that's being all paranoid is, after they've essentially dealt with the illness, he immediately, well, not so much immediately, because a bit before that he already has, but the fact that he actually apologizes and says that he was wrong to, you know, go as over the top as he had been, like, to the doctor, because it's nice, because, like, normally, I mean, going by other scenes before it, you were kind of thinking that this guy was just like, oh shit, the leader's sick, I'm gonna take over, or something like that. But the
You almost
fact that
got
it's
the
just
feeling,
like,
yeah.
yeah. So the fact that he's just like, okay, no, I was wrong, I can admit that, is like, oh, thank God. This didn't go in a way where they had to, like, deal with this guy now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Tim.
I love the scene at the beginning where Dodo walks out of the TARDIS and Steven follows her, and Dodo is just completely nonplussed by Steve's dire warnings of, like, your eyeballs could have been sucked from their sockets! And it's like, I want you to laugh. Like, oh, look at the tree. Like, it was it's so refreshing to meet a character like that who isn't quite naive, but they're not doom and gloom either, I think, is the phrase for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it helped that this was apparently Dodo's, like, second so she wasn't really aware that they'd actually traveled yet. Or at least that they've traveled through time yet, anyway.
I'm not sure on that.
If it wasn't well, I'll put it this way, it's one of her earlier ones anyway. Like, most of her dialogue seems to hint that she hasn't really been around in the TARDIS all that long.
I don't
Yeah.
think she has.
Yeah, I know she hasn't been around for very long, but I think she knows enough of how it travels. I think she just literally walked outside, saw enough evidence of what she needed to see, and went, "Oh, I might be on Earth." It's kind of what they were sort of hinting at least.
Yeah.
She literally popped into the TARDIS at the end of the last episode.
Oh, yeah.
There
So
you
she
go.
hasn't seen anything yet.
Yep. So she literally, they pop in the TARDIS at the end of the massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve. And
this is the episode they come out in.
yep. I'm trying to remember when she got off.
War Machines.
The War Machines, yeah, which we've covered.
Yep. So yeah, she goes through this. The Celestial Toy Maker, the Gunfighters, which we've done, the Savages, or no, we haven't done the Gunfighters.
I was about to say, no, we haven't.
Not yet.
No, we've only talked about it. The Savages, and
Savages
the
we
War
did.
Machines, which is where I mostly remembered her from. The Smugglers, or wait, no, it's the War Machines where she ends. So yeah.
Yeah.
So she basically goes through the rest of the season.
She's a one-season character.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which kind of shows they didn't really know what to do with her.
Yeah. I think it was that she wasn't like a popular character among.
Yeah, because after that they
either
replaced
people at the. Yeah.
they replaced her with Ben and Polly. They replaced both Steven and Dodo with Ben and Polly.
Hmm.
And Ben and Polly go through the regeneration, and I think they leave like 3-4 episodes into the second Doctor's run.
I was gonna say they're around long enough to encounter Jamie, and then
Yep. They pick up Jamie. They go to the moon base, and then I think they get off on the serial after the moon base.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. And then Jamie goes on, and they pick up Victoria. Anyway.
And the circle starts from there. Yep.
So I think my favorite scene, by the way, is the transition scene between episodes 2 and 3, or the point where they get in the TARDIS and they take off and they come back and it's 700 years later, and it basically looks exactly the same. So they're like, we haven't moved anywhere, and they're going to go see people, and then they see the statue, and that is for me, that's the moment that's just like, whoa. All right, so let's move to least favorite scene, and Matt, you're up.
Least favorite scene. I was going to bring this up earlier, but I decided it was more of a scene thing more than an overall thing. And now I've just literally lost it. God damn it. Going to another thing then really quickly. Scene that almost took me out of it, but I congratulated him on saving it, was the defendant guy for the TARDIS crew. One scene, and it was a close-up too, so you see it happening really clearly. You see him stumble over his words, and he just barely manages to save it and keeps going. It's just like, oh, that's a little bit cringy, but hey, you're going, and you're good. Okay.
Yeah.
That was a close one, dude. But that it just totally ripped me out of the moment at that point. It's just like, oh. Well, whoops on that.
All right, Thomas?
Oh. I remember it now. I'll bring it up later if it doesn't get mentioned.
God, it's weird. I feel like I had one. But now I'm starting to blank a bit. I guess I'll just go with like when the monoid that the Doctor and Dodo have been brought along with onto the planet starts wrecking shit in that house, and it's like
Damn it.
it's like, dude, what the hell? You're like, yeah, because it is like the thing of what Randy brought up earlier, where it's just like, okay, we get that you overthrew these people because they were treating you like slaves and stuff, but why are you extending that to these people that have done nothing to you? It's like, it seems a bit weird. I mean, granted, there are the monoids that like, dude, you're taking this a bit far, but it's still like, eh, it's just so like, and of course it's kind of funny as well because it's like one of them almost like, I don't even know what one of them was made of because it didn't sound like it shattered like it the shatter noise sounded like it should have. But anyway, it's just kind of fun, silly at the same time. Um. But yeah, that's about all I can really think of.
All right.
Well, so now it's down to me.
Yep.
What, one moment that just sort of like took me out of it was the scene where the human servant is serving the leader monoid food, and the leader monoid has to like sort of turn his head because he doesn't have a mouth, but you hear chewing noises like they got out of their way like to hide the fact that they couldn't show him eating. Like wait, how do they eat? You know, like, and now I'm completely taken out of the scene, and so that was just didn't really do it for me.
It's really disgusting. They just rub it on their faces until it dissolves into their face. It's a fact that they can't show on film.
All right. So let's see. Fortunately, Thomas took mine. I'm trying to come up with a secondary one now. This is hard because I like almost everything about this episode. Oh. No, I'm going to have to pass. I just can't think of one.
I remember my original one, by the way.
Hmm.
They were a little heavy-handed at the beginning of the episode about Dodo being sick, and it's just like, dun dun dun. Somehow that's going to lead to something, isn't it?
All right. So, final thoughts.
Final thoughts, of course, starts with me. Final thoughts. If there's any major flaws in this particular episode, it's only due to age. It's not due to sloppy writing or bad effects or any of the other issues that could happen in a serial like this. It's literally just due to that age has not been kind to it, and for that fact alone, it stands out pretty well. It does some things that Doctor Who wouldn't do on a regular basis until much later, and it actually inquires not only just the sci-fi element of being in a strange place, but it also actually takes full advantage of the time-traveling mechanic of the particular main cast itself, which you definitely don't, again, you don't see enough of in classic Who until much later into modern Who. On top of that, you got some solid costume making, at least for the aliens. You've got some nice miniature props flying around. The visual effects are at least they're enough to be effective. And you got a crew, even of behind the like B-list and C-list actors who aren't always in front of the camera all the time, at least pulling their weight enough to keep things going and not spoil the momentum of the story.
All right. That it?
That's about it.
Right, Thomas?
It's kind of funny because I feel like I might not have given this serial a fair shot, or just something about it while I don't think it's bad in any stretch, for some reason I found it very easy to get distracted while watching it.
Shame.
So yeah, it's like I feel like my opinion could improve upon like further viewing, but whether it's something to do with the pacing or just because I don't feel like that it's necessarily the age of it or something, because there are, I mean, I'm pretty sure I've seen, well, yeah, I have seen other Hartnell stories and I've enjoyed them. So it might just be the particular pacing of this one seems a bit too slow in places. That makes it drag a little. Um, yeah, it's just one of those things where I'm kind of on the fence where I don't think it's bad by any stretch, but I don't think this will necessarily stick with me. Outside of maybe like a few scenes, including one that I actually probably could have used favorite, which was just the initial reveal of what the monoids look like, because that shot is pretty damn good. Yeah, that's all I've got.
All right, Tim.
I think that any flaws in this episode can be just forgiven as simply the limitations of the era that it was made in.
Mm-hmm.
It was a well acted episode. I loved the chemistry between the Doctor and Dodo, and it makes me wish that they had found more things for this character to do, because this episode gives me the impression that she could have been great, or she could have been better than she ended up being. But the design of the creatures and the aliens were top notch, and I like how the story itself seemed to perfectly divide itself into part one and part two. And yet it still had like a whole felt like a whole story. So those are my thoughts.
All right. So, as I stated at the beginning, this episode holds a special place in my heart because it's the first episode of Doctor Who I ever saw. It is what gravitated me to the series. It's I've always thought this was just unbelievable science fiction with a 700-year jump. Um, there are some parts with the acting, but I swear to God, it's due to age rather than that. And the main characters are all acting well. The monsters even act well for what they're written. I just enjoy it to death. I can't say otherwise. Ratings. So Matt, you are first since we have no Bill.
No Bill, and he didn't bother showing up at all for this episode today. Shame.
It's going to
So
be put on his list.
yep. So overall rating, I'm going to say that this is just as memorable for me as the first time I saw Dalek. So the Daleks. So this is a 5.
5 from Matt.
Easy
All right.
5.
Thomas.
This is gonna be funny because I can pretty much tell I'm probably gonna be the low ball, so I guess I'm taking Bill's place this week.
Oh no.
So it's so annoying because it's like I don't feel like I can give it anything above a 4, but I also feel like a 3 is a bit mean, so I think I'll just give it a 3.5.
Okay, so you think we could call DS Matt and have him kick somebody in the dick by delivering?
I don't know. Do you have his contact info
Again,
anymore?
This can always change. I mean, I've changed things for things I've previously done in the past. I don't think it'll go as high as 5, but it might jump to like a 4 or something.
Actually, I know a newscaster in Australia that might be able to do it for us, Randy.
Yes, so yes, we have a message for you, and this person has delivered to you a boot to the head. All right, Tim.
Well, it wasn't Time Lash. But I can't find anything seriously wrong with this episode, and I like the vibe it gives to everyone, so I'll give this a 5 as well.
And by my rating, you know I'm giving this a 5. So 3 out of 4 of us, 3 out of 4 reviewers give this episode a 5.0.
Yes.
Making sure that constant data went over to the master sheet. And then to the rankings. Yes, it did.
What was
Gives
really
this
happening
a
with that
rating
fourth
of-
reviewer, and you just watch as a snake goes up his pants? Ah! Ah!
All right. So I am no longer going to bother sorting by core because everybody here has been here for at least 3 seasons. So everybody's off probation. So yeah, at 4.6, we'll put the arc at number 22 of 290 things reviewed.
22.
It puts it on the same tier as the Bells of St. John, The Return of Dr. Mysterio, The Magician's Apprentice, The Witch is Familiar, The Invasion of Time, The Ghost Monument, Arachnids in the UK, Talons of Wang Chiang, and The Seeds of Death. It is better than Utopia, Here Comes the Drums, Last of the Time Lords, The Zygon Invasion, Zygon Inversion, New Earth, Enlightenment, Resolution, World Enough in Time, The Doctor Falls, Thin Ice, The Rebos Operation, The Invasion, The War Machines, oddly enough, The Woman Who Fell to Earth, Rosa, and is not as good as Stolen Earth Journeys End, Day of the Doctor, and Dalek.
Some tough competition there.
Oh yeah. This is in the upper echelons, people. This is the good.
This is the damn good.
Yes.
22,
Even though it's not Time Lash.
22 out of 290. That's all we're going to say for the moment until Bill finally gets us off his ass in reviews for the arc. Matt, do you have that information?
Yep, the image holder is now up on screen. So if you want to see these videos after the live stream, you can always catch us on YouTube at Unearthly Podcast. If you want to catch us live while we're doing these streams, you can find us on Twitch at Unearthly Podcast. If you want to check out our social media, we have a Twitter where you can find us at Unearthly Pod. We also have a Facebook still, and you can catch us there at Unearthly Podcast. And if you enjoy the show enough that you want to throw a penny or two our way, or maybe at least $1, you can also check us out on Patreon at An Unearthly Podcast.
All right, so next week, we are going to continue going to the good, moving forward to the 4th Doctor era. It's an episode we've talked about like a gazillion times, but we actually have yet to review it. It's Pyramids of Mars, written by Stephen Harris, Robert Holmes and Lewis Geffer, and starring Tom Baker as the Doctor and Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah Jane Smith.
Is that Stephen Harris, the bassist for Iron Maiden?
No. It's Stephen Harris, the pseudonym for 2 people who shouldn't have been writing because one of them's a script editor.
Oh, okay.
Aha! Behold
That
the
would've-
might of Sutek. See you all next time.